All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. This is round two. And I was wondering, like, I don't see the count of people on here and so forth. I wasn't live. So thank you, Anna Banana, for letting me know. Josh and I just did an extraordinary introduction.
The show's over, folks.
it was an awesome introduction. And so thank you for your patience, everybody. So we will do this again, and it will be a truncated version. So first of all, I want to thank Josh, who is everywhere on every channel right now. And who was that guy a few years ago? There was a guy on TV. He was everywhere. He was Trump's lawyer. This is not political. I'm not talking about politics, but he was. No, it's another guy, kind of a good-looking guy, ended up going to prison. But anyway, he was everywhere. And that aside, you have been all over the place, rightfully so, with the information you've been sharing about the inside manipulation of talk shows like Dr. Phil. So I know quite a bit about the so-called reality shows, because I was in a few myself, and that I was selected for a reality show to star in one, and I did a pilot, and they ain't reality, as you well know now. And they're way, and again, most people know that, or whether it's a talk show or whatever it is, they know it's not real, but they don't know how unreal and how incredibly agendized, if that's even a word, they are. So this is a little different take than you heard previously. And by the way, I loved your guest before that you had on, Josh. She was eloquent, she was intelligent, she was thoughtful, and I was blown away. And I listened to the whole show. And if I didn't know you, if you weren't my friend, I'd be like, wow, this is good. You're a better interviewer than Dr. Phil.
Dr. AFA.
Dr. AFA, that's your new name. So with that, I want to get to the meat and potatoes here and start at the beginning, Josh. And how did you first get contacted? Because, ladies and gentlemen, and number one, thank you for joining us. I haven't done a live stream in quite a while. And thank you again, Josh, for joining us here as well. Oh, also, Josh, I want a special thanks to you that you created time to come down to Union City, New Jersey, to expose that evil dictator mayor, Brian Stack, on how he had me unlawfully arrested. And I really thank you for taking the time to come down for that. And I know Anna wasn't feeling well, and she had just gone through some health challenges, but you still took some time, and you're a good friend. So thank you for that.
My pleasure. I thought it was important to go to Union City. The same, it's really one ties into the other. Union City ties into now. Same tyrant, different face. It really is a testament to how strong the bind is in the activism community. I mean, we talk about the blue line, but the word thin is quite descriptive. They have your back until they don't need to have your back, or till it helps them to not have your back. Whether it's Union City or what's happening here, activism are the ties that bind us. So I think one has to do with the other, and it's really my pleasure to be here.
And thank you so much. And I also thank Sean of Long Island, can't say it today, Sean of Long Island Audit, and James Freeman, Here's the Deal, and Full Court Press, NB, Scalzo Photo. You all came, Chris Butts here, and appreciate your support. So let's get to the Dr. Phil piece now. And we want to uncover the curtain, because shows like Dr. Phil, they're predatory. They manipulate, and they use usually mentally unwell people. And in Dr. Phil's case, he used and manipulated a lot of mentally unwell teenage girls. Now, you are an anomaly, because he likes to be able to handle people he brings on his show. And they have so much behind the scenes, which I know you shared quite a bit about, Josh. And no matter how much we think these talk shows are spontaneous and organic, of course they ain't. And when you actually go on one, and when you are, I would say you're one of the smartest, if not the smartest person out here in auditing, that he got the wrong person to try to manipulate, or fill handle, shall we say. So you are a completely different person than he usually works with. But how would you categorize or describe the type of people he usually preys upon for clicks and views?
Yeah, so, I think it's interesting. The point of the show was to make auditing out to be, clickbait, and, we're here to put people on blast. We're here to take advantage. For all intents and purposes, our job is to, just handle people. And I think it's interesting. He's been doing that a lot longer and a lot more successfully than I have. Pregnant teenagers, homeless teenagers, drug addicted teenagers. He's taken advantage of more teenagers than the Mexican cartels. And we talk about this, and you don't quite know till you go on the show. But they sent me an email, and they said, "We'd like to have you on the show. And we would like to talk about First Amendment auditing." And the first thing I do when I get emails like this, because I get quite a few, whether it's like newspaper, TV, whatever, is vet them to make sure I know. So the person puts a name at the bottom of the email. It looks legit. I go into LinkedIn, verify that this person does exist. And then I call the broadcasting company. I ask to be transferred, and I leave a message with my phone number, and I ask them to call me back. So she called me back, which, completed my vetting process. And, they wanted me to do a submission video. They wanted to know about all the arrests that I had caused, about all the people that we got fired, all the people that we helped. And it was a show not about me, but for me to explain what First Amendment auditing is. And then on the opposite side, for a police officer, a security guard who had an interaction with a First Amendment audit. And then in the middle, as an unbiased party, for a civil rights attorney to sit down and kind of break everything down for us. And at that point, I knew that's what it wasn't going to be. I didn't think they were going to quite go down the rabbit hole that they ultimately went down.
Absolutely. And you and I had talked a number of times. I don't think we had said this in our round 2 of this. And as I said to you, they're going to try to make you the cash me outside. How about that, girl? And they were going to attempt to manipulate, of course. And one of the things, Josh, is I did more research. I mean, we all know Dr. Phil. He's been a part of the zeitgeist for decades. However, looking at it from a deeper angle in research for the show today, one of the things that I especially appreciated is his editors are freaking insanely amazing. I mean, even though he's past his prime, he's not who he was. He doesn't have the influence he once had, and he works out of rundown places now. He still comes to the studio with a helicopter, and his editors are extraordinary. And why is that good and not good for telling a story, an honest story?
Well, I think the American people have a perception, I think, that Dr. Phil is a household name and he is trustworthy. And we don't have the ability to decide if what's happening on the show is real or not, if it's true or false. We kind of have to take it at face value. And like I've said before, I've certainly shared that I've read his son's books, and part of the whole getting clean process for myself was watching the Dr. Phil show. Maybe not always what he had to say, but what some of his addiction specialists had to say. I think that it's kind of like us, Leroy. People take us into their homes. They watch us in their living rooms. We become part of their everyday life. That I might have not spoken to someone before, but they know that we're having a baby and they're buying something for the registry. We have this weird ability to be in people's lives. And when that happens, you automatically afford that person a little bit of trust. And I think that's what had happened here. And when I got invited on the show, we sat down and we did hours of B-roll footage. I'm picked up at the airport in a really, really nice car. I'm driven to a studio. There's this huge abandoned church that had been shut down for about 10 years. And we're in the Trinity Broadcasting Network for, all the Christian shows. And this studio is beat to hell. We start filming and there's one door in and out. They can't afford security. And there's a taping of a Christian style QVC show in the next studio over. So behind our backdrop is the door for that studio. So these guys are continuously having to cut. And then they're like, "Can you say what you just said? We like that." And I'm like, "Well, can you get a security guard or figure out how to," I'm pretty sure Dr. Phil's been doing this long enough where I was surprised. That's not what I was expecting from Dr. Phil. And I think that was my first inclination to, this might not be the guy that we have all come to watch on television. And I'm a smart guy. I knew that he loved police, and I knew that it was going to be a little bit of a setup.
We talked about that. We know he bleeds blue, and he said that on his show.
And there was a lot of disinformation that was going on out there. In fact, I can actually show, just to show how rundown the dressing rooms are. You know, they didn't even have knobs on the door, Leroy. I'll play a quick clip. I took videos behind. I wasn't supposed to, and I haven't showed this anywhere else.
Bad boy, you didn't follow the rules.
I'm gonna show.
I'm in my dressing room. It's got my name on the door, but it's got a TV. It's nice, you know. But the bathroom is missing a doorknob. Come on, Phil. Here, send me a gold-plated doorknob. What the fuck? Dr. Phil out.
You know, there's several of these kind of little funny videos that I did. This is, you'd think that it'd be a little bit better production value. That was my name posted on the door. You know, this is
My dressing room.
this is another one.
My interpretation of how today is going to go here in Dr. Phil. Now, Josh, put the camera down. Stop harassing the government. Praise him.
You know, it was little clips preparing myself.
Dr. Phil has provided me with my famous person blacklist. All these carbs, all I ever fit in my dress.
You know, like this is but the point of it is I have so many of these videos because I was left backstage for quite some time. They brought me this little box lunch where most of the stuff inside of it was expired. They were missing a doorknob. There was a air conditioning vent in the ceiling, and the ceiling tile next to it was missing. And you look up, you can see because it's in this big exposed warehouse. They had just
Before you
renovated.
go on, I know I was missing because a previous guest saw what a setup it was and literally got rid of that tile, climbed up, and got the hell out of there. That's my guess.
Well, I think there was a ladder right behind it. Now, I didn't see anybody. I was real good at paying attention to my surroundings. One of the producers came in and he's like, you know, you're a First Amendment guy. You tell me, is it illegal to film somebody like in the dressing room? And I was like, we're not in a public place. This is a private place. I'm very aware of wiretapping laws. You know, so you do have to let me know if you're, and that was kind of a tip off. I think they, like, even when they mic'd me up like an hour beforehand, I was like, is this a hot mic? Because I'm just letting you know, if it's a hot mic, you think you're going to catch me in a precarious situation, you are. I'm going to go take a dump with this mic on, you know, like, so
Well,
they were up to some tricks.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't be surprised if it was mic'd in your dressing room. Anything you did in there, my assumption would be mic'd. And so when they first contacted you, you being eyes wide open ahead of time, again, when you and I had several conversations about it, then what was your experience knowing that? Like, did you feel they were trying to handle you, trying to, warm you up to get your guard down so they can then be free to manipulate you and catch you off guard? How about that?
Yeah, they were trying to catch me outside. How about that? But to be honest with you, I knew what they were up to, and I never gave them the inclination that I was onto it. I took everything that they said to me. I asked questions that they thought I should be asking. And, I continued to take it with a grain of salt. And I mean, but I think they knew that I knew, before the show started, in the 2 hours that I had to sit in that dressing room, I was visited by about 6 different producers. And, all this disinformation I was being filled with, like cut Dr. Phil off. Like you don't cut a host off in their own show. Like they thought I was stupid enough to.
Pause there a minute. Just taking that piece apart. Why do you think they would tell you that? I mean, most of us is obvious, but they're literally telling you how to behave, how to perform. Why would they do that?
Well, they know if I cut Dr. Phil off, the next result is going to be him screaming at me and then follow up on worse than they were already going to make me. And that was definitely a cue that, I was being set up. And they told me all the different things we would be discussing. And I think it was so when I finally got on the show, I'm so mentally prepared for all the things we would be going over that when they started hitting me with their actual agenda, I'd be sitting there dumbfounded.
Right, absolutely. And because they prey upon people, and God bless them, they need true mental health support and love and authentic caring, not to be exploited on a talk show. And what is her name? Danielle Brugolo? Am I saying that correctly?
I think so. I think
Right. Her name is now Bad Baby. And
you got to catch up, Leroy. It's Bad Barbie.
But I thought it was Bad. I'm pretty sure it's Bad Baby. Put it in the chat, everyone. See who's right. And whoever's right, I'm interested in the truth. If I'm wrong, I'll say it.
Yeah.
I think it's Bad Baby.
1 for Leroy, truth is right, or a 2 for AFA. And AFA is always right. So type your 2s, people.
I think this time you're gonna be wrong. And Bad Baby, BHADBHABIE. You looking it up? Let's see.
No, it's Bad Bobby.
Is it? There we go. I stand corrected. I care about the truth. I don't care about being right. Didn't I say Bad Baby? I'm right. Thank you very much.
No, it's Bobby. It's Bobby.
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
you in Boston. That's you in Boston. You're talking about.
Look at your chat, Leroy. It's Bad Bobby.
7 point. We have a lot of ones. Yeah. So it's Bad Baby.
No, we cannot. Hold on. How do you pronounce Bad Bobby? Hold on, Bad. Because if you're right, I won't concede. I'll just continue to go down this path.
And that's because I'm a better man than you, Josh. And I would rather it be Bad Barbie.
How do you pronounce this name indeed? I know the H's there are confusing, aren't they? So it's not bad, it's just bad. And then similarly, it's not Bobby or Bobby. Baby.
Oh, no, Leroy.
Thank you very much.
That guy was creepy, though.
He was creepy. He's going to be the next guest on Dr. Phil. But I guarantee it. Oh, it is Dr. Phil. That's what he does to make a little extra money for his helicopter. He does those ridiculous things. So one of the things is he gets so indignant, of course, when a guest acts up like Bad Baby, Danielle.
Bad Baby.
But he wants that because they groomed her. They groom people to exploit them. And again, someone who's intelligent, that's why they don't have a lot of intelligent people on, unless it's a specific show like they had Robert F. Kennedy on recently. It's a different context. They're not going to play the same games necessarily. But they exploit these young girls. And they set her up. Yeah, cut them off. Get mad at the audience. If the audience says something, they hate you. You got to talk to them. They set her up. And then he gets indignant, but that's one of the most famous shows he's ever had. And she even said, Josh, in another show, when she came back, now, in reality, she didn't make it, but she's like, I made you, Dr. Phil, with my that episode, but it certainly helped him. Now, but what did she do now?
The producer said when they dropped me off at the airport, because everyone's a producer, and they have these poor people that can make more money bartending. They call them a producer. They drive guests around. They bartend at Dr. Phil's house. I have recorded interviews with some of these people, so I was prepared for it going into it, getting all the dirt that I could get. But he was like, listen, he had the lowest last year. He had the lowest performing fiscal show of and we're talking about Christian shows, nothing wrong with, religious, but Christian QVC of all the shows they have, Dr. Phil was at the bottom. And when they brought him in, he was supposed to be the top competitor. And even that producer said, we need another Danielle Bergolis. Like that's what we need. We need another.
Bingo. But here's the thing, Josh. They thought you were the new Danielle, new Bad Baby, and didn't work out so well. You could say that because you're from Boston.
Okay.
And so it didn't work out for them. And what do they say here? And thanks so much for all the super chats, everyone. And that certainly helps the cause. I really make no money at all the investigative work I'm doing. So this is super helpful. Thank you. And Dr. Phil is a failing content creator. Mainstream media has rejected him a few times. Absolutely. AFA is a net man. What is a net man, Josh?
I don't know.
Explain that. What is a net man? Anyone? And also, Jared, thank you so much for the super chat, Jared. It's not letting me share for some reason. Here we go. Now, here's a question.
Oh, better man.
What is it?
He said better man in the chat. AFA
Right,
is
better
a better
man.
man.
Now, here's a question. Is Dr. Phil has been doing all of these interviews with Trump, with RFK, with Bad Baby. Why First Amendment auditing? Why? And that's a question we haven't talked about before.
Why any show that Dr. Phil does? And he gave himself away with his producers, and his opening line to the show, a new thing, a new sensation, a new taboo sensation sweeping the nation is First Amendment auditing. In fact, last year they totaled 3.6 billion views alone. That's billion with a B.
Pause that for a minute. Do you understand, ladies and gentlemen, and also Mayor Brian Stack, I know you're watching this. You can't help. You got to look. And you understand the power when people do effective First Amendment auditing and exposing violators of our constitutional rights. Say that number again to understand what a profound power base we the people are. It's not Josh or I or Long Island Audit. It's you. You're the ones who can make the change. You're the one who make these calls to demand accountability from the mayors and the selectmen and the select women and the senators and the assembly people and the police chiefs and so forth. You're the ones who have the power. How many views again, Josh?
3.6 billion. And just to give a little bit of background, in the past fiscal year, 365 days from right now, my channel has had 4,232,862 watch hours. There are 525,600 minutes in a year. Okay. And then you transfer that into hours. How many lifetimes have people watched just my channel in the past year? 3.6 billion views, an untapped market. No one on mainstream is talking about it. When they do, besides the Matt Karens of the world, it's a hit piece. This was an absolute money train if he could hook into it. Right.
And also, it poses what we do collectively. And again, as Brian from Here's the Deal always says, alone we fall, united we stand. And as Martin Luther King said, the problem is not that we are outnumbered. The problem is that we are outorganized. And I've been organizing, and many of us have. And if you would like to be part of the Army of Freedom, go to the Army of Freedom now, thearmyoffreedom.com. And that's something that you will be getting updates once a week, never spammed. We always sacredly guard your privacy of your emails. But go to thearmyoffreedom.com, and we are organizing nationally, because getting 1, 2, 5 phone calls doesn't mean much. Getting 100, 200, 1,000, 10,000 phone calls, whatever the number is.
Let's just give an example. So we'll play a game. Leroy has no idea what I'm about to say, so I'll either flop on my point or I'll prove it. Name a First Amendment auditor.
James Freeman.
Have his number. Name another one.
Long Island Audit.
Have his number. Name another one.
Here's the Deal.
Have his number. Name another one.
Leroy Smith Investigations.
I deleted that one. but the point is concept alone. And that's what they were going up against. They thought that they were going to air this show. They were going to make me and this community look as bad as possible. And then that was going to be it. Bygones be bygones. No NDA. And guys, just so you know at home, a non-disclosure agreement would have prohibited me from talking about this show until the show was aired. And if I had talked about it, they could sue me and send me a cease and desist, and I'd ineffectively be silenced. They didn't do it. They did what they did. They aired the show. And once I realized that the show was bullshit, and I spoke to the other guests on the show, and I started doing a bit of background, I told them, I said, listen, I need you guys to at least give a fair shake, at least give some of the information. They said it is what it is. And I said, listen, I have the next month to explore this topic and turn your heroes into villains and turn your villain into a hero. And all I have to do is with the truth and with your own guests, your own audience members, your own producers. And that's what we're going to do. Dr. Phil, there's a lot of things he likes to keep quiet. For example, people are like, hey, it's how did you get these people to talk to you? It was not my alluring personality, Leroy. They were wanting to tell me. They showed their disgust with oh, by the way, I should have mentioned Banana Anner in the whole phone game, but that was unprepared, Nanner. But
Banana and I was going to wait until last to say that one. So you're welcome.
That was unprepared. I just wanted to prove a point. But he moved this show from LA to Fort Worth, and he promised all these people their jobs. He promised, all these big promises. So they moved across the country. They followed him. They signed 12 and 15-month leases, and it's illegal. Like, you have to, if you bring someone into work and you fire them at work, you have to give them 3 hours worth of pay. And that's 60% of his workforce. However, if you invite people to go to like an outing, a get together, a gathering, something that's voluntary, then you don't have to pay them. So he said, hey, listen, we're having a ribbon cutting ceremony. Steve Harvey has a brand new show on Merit Street Media. He had Steve Harvey, the Lieutenant Governor of Texas, there. He invited all these people to come in on their own time to this buffet. And they all, 60% of them, walked out of there with no job, going back home to their family to try and explain what they're going to do. Some of them wound up being in homeless shelters. They couldn't discuss it because of the non-disclosure agreements that they had signed. And, now these people have absolutely nothing. The little savings that they had, or the money that they had saved up from working to Dr. Phil, went into buying homes and houses. Now homes and houses that they can't afford. They're unable in this part of the season to make lateral moves into other shows. And if they did, they would have to start at the bottom. So these people, they couldn't really wait to talk to me. And I actually spoke to one of the producers and I said, this is what I'm going to be talking about. And they were like, well, that's interesting. The job cuts are online, but all the information that you gave us, that's not public. So I'm interested in knowing who you heard it from. And I said, I don't have anything to say. And they didn't say they'd offer me money, but they were kind of like, well, we can work together. And I was like, listen, I'm going to leave this show with Dr. Phil thinking that I'm not a very good First Amendment auditor, but by the time I'm done, he's going to think I'm a hell of an investigative reporter. And it shows. Now they're doing damage control. After I did my first live stream, I got a call from them and they were like, listen, we brought up your criminal record. We're willing to ditch that. I said, I don't want you to take anything out. I just want you to put things in. Let the audience make a better decision. I get a text message from Sean from Long Island Audits today. He receives an email from them, and they say this: good morning and happy Monday, Sean. As we've discussed previously, Merit Street Media is producing a show that discusses First Amendment auditors. We have interviewed one of the individuals you featured on your audits, Trey, which you posted online. We're aware that you taped a live stream with the guest in question where you disagreed with his allegations. He's talking about my live stream with Sean. This individual stated that he experienced devastating personal consequences as a result of your online posting, including loss of income, harassment of his family, and severe depression. This individual also reports that a veteran who was present during your audit was extremely upset at the time, did not return to the audited building, and took his life a month later. We do not intend to name you or to show the video of your audit, but we want to give you a chance to comment on the individual's allegations. This
Leverage.
is an email that, that Merit Street sent to Sean. But I mean, how about doubling down? They're doubling down. Effectively, they're saying, listen, we're not going to put the video in. We're not going to give any context to the matter. But if you want to give a comment, then we'll kind of reframe that, because now they're doing damage control.
Right, absolutely. They're trying to negotiate with you now. And by the way, someone asked, do you have Bay Area Transparency's number, and maybe Bay Area Transparency is here? Do you have his number?
I don't have his phone number. I have his email address.
Right. And if you're here, welcome, Bay Area Transparency. So, yeah, they're trying to do damage control because basically you broke out of the Dr. Phil bubble. It's an almost perfect bubble for decades. They know how to handle people. They know how to handle the stories. They know how to manipulate people. And I can't wait for the story to come out just to expose Dr. Phil, because he could make Mother Teresa look like Charles Manson.
Well, for me, it's not even about exposing him, Leroy. It's for me, I just want to fulfill his legacy. I want to make sure he gets done. He gets the end result that he asked for. And what he wanted was for two people to discuss their respective sides and to allow the American public to make a decision. The problem is he didn't give more than one side to begin with. So since he forgot to do that, I decided to just be better at my job than he is at his, and have one of his guests on, have one of his audience members on. They're real upset to know that in the next couple days, I'll be having one of their producers on. Whoops. Did I just say that on Leroy Truth for the first time?
For the
That's
first time
absolutely
exclusive, ladies and gentlemen. You're going to have Dr. Phil's, Josh, you're going to have one of Dr. Phil's producers live on your channel. Win. Exposing the truth.
Yep. And it's this person had exposure to all of the guests. They had exposure to the product and development discussions. And I gave a little bit of a teaser to that today when I spoke to one of the producers on Dr. Phil. I said, hey, just a heads up, all that information I had that I shouldn't have had, person's coming on the channel. And I told them to consult a lawyer. It could be mine. Make sure there's no NDAs, prohibiting them from discussing, your work. And the question was, well, there is an NDA, but it only talks about if I'm employed. So if I quit on your show and I decide to talk about it, then it is what it is. But yeah, so you're going to hear from, and that's giving the whole view. You get the audience perspective, you get the perspective. I mean, how do I frame this, Leroy? The other guest who doesn't like auditors, his life was ruined by First Amendment auditors. He says the Dr. Phil show was a sham, a setup. I didn't stand a chance. And the whole thing was designed to make me look bad. He was told that most of my stuff was going to be cut. An audience member who watched the show, even when she was pretty sure she was supposed to hate me, the whole thing was a setup. There was no chance. It was never, there was never even a line of grace for the auditing committee. It was bite your head off from the outset. And now a producer that's going to come on. So how much damage, am I doing damage control to repair my image, the community's image, or am I doing truth control? Because I'll tell you one thing. I told the producer, you shouldn't show your cards, right? Because if you said, go screw yourself, do what you're going to do, then, all right, we are where we are. When you're having discussions with me where you might not be able to air the show now, it's going to have to go from 2 episodes to 1 with all the editing. When you call me with a concession, you have just given me your balls to hold. That's what you did. You don't negotiate, right? Especially if you have the cards. The moment they were ready to make concessions, now they're sending these emails to Sean because, Leroy, they think we're not organized. They think that even if I talk some shit, no one's going to watch. Over 100,000 people in the past 48 hours have watched our updates on Dr. Phil. And all I have to do is make a phone call to you, or here's the deal. Lackluster is going to be dropping a video on this Dr. Phil thing. Collectively, even independently, in most cases, we have access to a larger audience than them. They gave their cards away and they showed they're worried.
Absolutely. And here's the thing, all the people you mentioned you're connected with, I am as well. We're all connected together because alone, we each have our individual power. Together, whether a channel has 3,000 or 4,000, by the way, subscribe to Full Court Press NB. Awesome channel, a very good friend of mine. He's maybe getting near 4,000 subscribers. Or whether you got 200,000 like you have, Josh, or almost 800,000 like Long Island Audit, or 1.25 million like Lackluster. We're all one. We're all here to support each other.
How many subscribers do you have, Leroy?
I got 39,000, almost 40,000.
All right, so I say I have 200,000. So that's 160,000 people that just haven't subscribed to you yet. If we never speak to each other, or we have no communication, then there's a rift. But the fact that we have such tight communication amongst this community, I mean, if I haven't worked with them, I have their phone number and I speak to them regularly, or vice versa. That's how this works. The Dr. Phil show doesn't talk to the Maury show, doesn't talk to the Jerry Springer show. They're super isolated. And you know what? Dr. Phil could have signed a contract, a non-competitive contract with Hulu, where he said, I won't be on any other streaming services. I will only be on Hulu. Had a huge overhead and budget to work with. And he might not be in the boat that he's in right now. But the only thing he has is an excellent editing team. I mean, you should really make sure. And you know what? They underestimated me, and that's fine. That's okay. But when you bring one of the largest activists in the country on your show, at least give me the due diligence that I'm doing something fucking right, where I can do this, have an audience base of almost 250,000 people. I have just under the amount of subscribers that Dr. Phil has on his YouTube channel.
Can you pause there a minute? just pause and just marinate in that for a minute. He's not who he thinks he is. Maybe he was who he thinks he was. That sounds like someone running for office right now. But he's not who he thinks he is. And he does not have the passionate support that we have. All the people who are watching here, you're the true patriots. You're the 3%. You're the ones who are going to make the difference, because it's one thing for me, Josh, you, any of us to complain about what's going on and say we don't like predatory policing. We don't like mayors who violate our rights constantly and the corruption and so forth. It's another thing to take lawful, peaceful action with the most passionate supporters and activists in the country, which are the people who watch and engage with our content. And they fear that. That's why Dr. Phil had you on his show, because
that's why he's still
he's
on
the
air.
establishment, and he fears that. The establishment fears that. He was solicited, perhaps, to make sure he took you down, made sure he was going to do this. Gotcha. Hey, you were arrested. You had some crimes. You were drug addicted at some point, except you're transparent about it. Your past does not equal your present or your future. So he had nothing to get you on, but he thought he had a lot to get you on, and to then thrash the movement down. See how uncredible they are. See how they're just a bunch of clicks and views people that agitate and hurt people's lives and destroy lives, which could not be further from the truth at large.
Well, he also has a great, I think it speaks volumes on what he thinks about his audience. Because, we heard from the guest that I just had on my show, one of the audience members, all she did was listen to the show. She picked up on a couple things that didn't make sense. And then she went to the channel, she started watching, and then she made her own decision. She said, all right, I don't buy I bought it at the time, but I want to return to sender. And he doesn't think that, at large, American people are going to do the same thing. He thinks his audience is stupid. They're going to watch the show. They're going to be enraged, and that's going to be it. But Leroy, you and I know what people do when they're enraged. Doesn't matter if it's Dr. Phil's diehard, bought-in audience, or it's people in the activism community that just watch their favorite auditor get arrested. They're going to start making phone calls. And for the Dr. Phil community, it's not with the telephone. It's by typing names in the search bar. So they're going to type in that name. They're going to go to my video. They're going to hit the play button. And the moment they see me acting crazy, that terrible person they saw on Dr. Phil, they're going to start trolling me in the comments. Well, not this video. He didn't do what Dr. Phil said in this video. So I'll watch the second one. By the third one, they're like, all right, he sold me a bunch of bullshit. And, they should have better control. Kings have been notable for thinking that no one is big enough to take them over. There have been Roman emperors that have been killed by their own security staff. The reason that sons in medieval England were sent to different properties is so if the son showed up to the king's gates with a standing at the front of an army, he had time to be prepared for this. And he forgot to check in his army. He thought that he was infallible. He has unhappy people. And I was told that that's why Dr. Phil's in the position that he's in. He said what he thought he wanted to say, and he got canceled from his mainstream contract. He never thought that it was going to happen. And the reason he's doing what I'm told right now is because that's not how he wanted to go out. He wanted to build his own empire to show that he could do it. And he wanted to do a 10-year contract he signed. He's 80 years old. 10-year contract. And he kind of failed with me. I mean, every time I brought up a point, he would just say, well, that's a straw man argument. We'll turn it. It's not a straw man. This is a real person. You just showed the video clip.
Right. And here's something I'm going to say right here, right now. Dr. Phil, I know you're going to watch this. I'm Leroy Truth of Leroy Truth Investigations. I personally invite you to come on my show, and I'm going to have Josh, Accountability for All, on it. I'm going to invite Sean, Long Island Audit. I'm going to invite Brian, Here's the Deal, and some other select people who will be on that. Also, Full Court Press NB. And there will be no edits. There will be no cuts. There will be no manipulating an audience to your design. It'll just be raw, naked conversation between us. And I challenge you to that. Let's see if you got the guts to do it. You've done everything else. Why don't you do something different? Come on to my
Yeah,
show, Leroy's
there's
Investigation.
nothing to be scared about. I mean, if you look at it, it's just YouTube and we're just lowly antagonists. I mean, certainly there's nothing to be scared of. You know, when we did that show, it was weird for people to watch him drill into me and then talk to me like the guest said, like we're old college buddies. Naked people between each other. Okay, I think I gotta go soon. But you know, that's what's weird when people are watching. There was one thing, and I'm fairly intelligent. I'm watching the teleprompters, Leroy. And Dr. Phil has 2 teleprompters because it's just hard for him to keep up. The cop comes up, he introduces the cop as a security guard. And, you know, me and the cop look at each other, and I actually said, Dr. Phil, that's not the security guard. This is the police officer from Gainesville, Florida. So he reset and kind of did his whole thing again. And then I realized he's very reliant on the teleprompters. I also realized it takes quite a long time for him to read them. So I started reading the teleprompters. I'm sitting right next to him. So I knew the line of questions that he was going to wind up asking me. So before he did, he was really nice to me at first. So I'm reading the teleprompter and I'm seeing what he's about to ask me, and I'm coming up with my retort. And as soon as he finishes his sentence, I finished it for him. I was like, I would say that we're not antagonists. We are activists. I can see from your teleprompter that's where we're going with this.
Right. And yeah, you weren't playing by his rules there. And so this is interesting. And again, it's good to expose this because he was trying to destroy us. And it was a very lame attempt. He did it with the wrong person. And now this is getting out there. And some people have said,
go ahead. Yes, sorry.
Before you share. Some people have said, well, what does this have to do with activism? It has to do with our community, our organization, our becoming a threat with 3.6 billion views to the mainstream establishment, because corruption exists in the dark, violation of our rights in a very fast track of snowball going down a mountain toward dictatorship and fascism and authoritarianism in our country happens in the dark or happens when people are not engaged. Yeah, we've got the most passionate activists in the world. I don't mean us. I mean our supporters and subscribers. And with that also, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't. And so what else do you have, Josh? And then I did have something to say to you.
So I'm looking up how many people have viewed Dr. Phil. Now, he has, Jesus Christ, he has over 7 billion views collectively on his show. And I want to talk about why it has everything to do with activism. So one man has doubled the amount of views that we got, all of us together. If he's bareback the blue without willing to listen to any stories and paint a very specific narrative, how many of those audience members were just meek police supporters? How many of those audience members were converted into true supporters, true believers? They left that episode. They said, I feel so bad for these cops. I'm going to start donating to the police. You know, he's perpetuating something very dangerous. He's giving a huge audience the ability to just bear back the blue at any and all costs. And I think that he thought less of this community. And we are always going to thrive when people think less of us. We are always going to rise above when people underestimate us. And that's the problem that these type of people make. It could have been, it didn't have to be me. It could have been Leroy. Could have been any one of you. What they forgot is if you fuck with one of us, you fuck with all of us. You are belonging to a very big community.
Yes, because there isn't one of us. It's we the people, as Sean Long Island Audit says all the time. We the people, it's in the Constitution. We the people are the power. And it's time for us to take back our power, which we are doing. Because here's the thing. Watching our videos, ladies and gentlemen, as you know, is the first step. And it's important because we expose the corruption. We expose violations of our rights. But that in and of itself isn't the end. That's the beginning. But you, literally, each of you watching this, you don't have to create content. You do need to go to your local meetings. You do need to speak truth to power. And one of the things I've been doing in Union City, New Jersey, Josh, as you know, is I've been now, September 1st will be 9 months since I started investigating mayorstack. I'm creating a model for people throughout the country. I can't be everywhere. You know how many emails you get, Josh. I get so many emails every day as well, asking us, please come to this place, please come to that place. And we will go to some of them, but we can't go to all of them because there's just not enough of us to go around. So we want to teach you, give you the model, the template, how to create change in your community. That's the key. And
Now,
Dr. Phil and the establishment don't want us organizing because
now the trolls have an interesting take on this thing. They're looking at all of this. This is not defensive. What I'm doing is offensive. And they're saying that they're trying to frame it because most of them don't give a shit about Dr. Phil. It's just Dr. Phil is against us. So the enemy of my enemy is my friend. They will back him at all costs. He's their horse, and they're going to bet the bounty on him, right? And they're now saying, well, this is damage control. This is AFA and Leroy, and the whole community is just banding together to do damage control. And I think it's interesting because the guest that I had on, the security guard, he has no love for me. His life was destroyed by our kind. He said Dr. Phil is a fake. This audience member, don't know her from a hole in the wall. She seems to be right down the middle. She hated me to begin with. She says that the show is fake. So is it damage control or truth control? Is what we're doing going to pull people out of their community and show people Dr. Phil, for what he really is? And that is a hard concept because we don't do damage control. When one of our people go down or do something terrible, to insulate and protect our community, we put those people on Front Street. We call them out, right, and we take out our own trash. When something happens on their side of the fence, then it's all smoke and mirrors. At that point, it's all about, propagandizing the entire situation. The cop that was on the show right before you started was on a live stream. You know what he had to say about me? I didn't think Josh was a bad guy. So, now you've had every single guest on the show confirm. I didn't ask him, or I don't think he said, and I don't know, I watched for a brief minute if he said he thought it was a setup, but I guarantee you ask every single person that was on that show if I had a shot going into it, or it was even in the slightest unbiased, the answer is going to be no. So if all the guests say that, the audience say that, the producer says that, then, I must have a big bank. I heard Dr. Phil was worth over $500 million, but apparently I have a bigger bank to make everyone go against him.
Right. It's just the truth. And by the way, that's the reason I stopped you today. You know that?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining Accountability for All. This is a very serious topic we have today, and thank you for joining me in the Accountability for All channel. You'll notice Banana Rando just said in the chat that I'm 111 subs away from 200,000, and this is a show that is designed to celebrate that, but it is also a show of celebration. So if you're new to the Accountability for All channel, thank you for being here today. My guest today is Leroy Truth. Leroy, thanks for coming on.
Hello, Josh. A pleasure to be here.
You have some big news for the community. I know Brian's stack of shit has been a thorn in the side of freedom for some time. He has had you illegally charged on a multitude of occasions. He has had you illegally arrested. Now, there's been some divisiveness in the community, and I will say that there was a police officer I met from a neighboring community that was fantastic. I had the pleasure and ability to sit down and speak to his mother and stick with her until she found out where she was going. There are definitely two sides to this story, and that divisiveness has shifted. I would say it was 60-40, 60% against Leroy. And as that mechanism has shifted, I would say it's probably 70% on the side of Leroy Truth. What leads me to the question that's being begged, where are we at with those charges, Leroy?
Well, I've got 8 criminal charges that have been filed against me, either directly by Mayor Brian Stack or indirectly through his leptons, his mindless minions. And why do I have 8 criminal charges as an investigative journalist, Josh? Because Mayor Stack doesn't want himself investigated and exposed. And as I've said so many times, why would he try so hard to stop me from investigating him? Now, including arresting me 3 weeks ago while speaking during my allotted 5-minute public speaking time for saying words he didn't like. if he had nothing to hide, he would invite me to a steak, lobster, and sambuca dinner, which I hear his significant other loves steak sambuca on the company city dime. And he'd just say, okay, Leroy, I'm going to confess. I'm corrupt. I've done everything you said. All right, good. I will be your confessor. I'm an ordained reverend. And
I know this to be true.
Right. Because I officiated the wedding of Josh and Banana Anna. And it was a beautiful, beautiful, wasn't it a beautiful wedding, Josh?
It was a gorgeous wedding. I mean, raw bar, unlimited alcohol. I mean, it was definitely the whole 9 yards. And I spent my most money getting some reverend to come in and preach us.
Right. And that would be me. And it was a beautiful wedding. It was an honor to officiate both of your weddings. You're awesome. And both of your weddings, your singular weddings.
What?
And,
did she get divorced? Am I still married?
So, yes, you are, as far as I know. So with this, ladies and gentlemen, and Josh, I wanted to share this with you because how did I come to actually start investigating mayorstack? I'm going to show you how one single person calling 911 on a man with a camera is taking down Mayor and simultaneously State Senator Brian Stack. I'm going to show just the first portion of this video. And how do we get there, Josh, to Union City, New Jersey? I didn't even know what the freaking place was called. You're going to see in the beginning of this video, I called it Union, New Jersey. I didn't know. Good Guy Activism, please subscribe to Good Guy Activism's channel as well. He's also a very good friend. He said, hey, Leroy, you want to go out, do an audit? All right. He said, hey, you want to go to Union City? Okay, Union where? I don't know. So I went. And I'm going to show you because this is where things go bad. A man or a woman calls 911 on a man with a camera. And you're going to see it was very professional. And it escalated to now 9 months of a horror film for Mayor and State Senator Brian Stack. He's created a horror. I simply expose it. So here, I'm going to play a few minutes of this.
He's before you play it, I just want to give people a sense. Leroy is a dog with a bone. And there have been many times where I have got on the phone with him and you know, this is all truth. And I've said, listen, I've been looking at the videos. It's time to move on, you know, move on from Union City, go on to something else. And he was like, I don't even care if I'm not getting views. I don't care if the horse is dead and I'm beating it or whatever, you know, people might say or think. I am going to follow this through to the end. And he did. And, you know, what he uncovered was crazy. Listen, just on my channel alone, Brian Stack has almost 400,000 views. And I've only done 3 videos. That is on my channel. Forget lackluster. Here's the deal. I mean, and that again, like Dr. Phil, it's a testament to if you fuck with one of our own, you know, you play a stupid game, you want a stupid prize, and your prize is Leroy, and I'm sorry, you can't return him.
No. And so the last things we're going to do today, Josh, and thanks for sticking with us, everybody. I'm going to share the initial visit to Union City, which was this past December 1st, 2024. Good Guy Activism wasn't with me at that time. He was in another part of the building. But you're going to see how a mayor and state senator are going to be brought down because someone freaked out that I had a camera and I was asking questions. And then to finish our show off, I'm going to play the world's first music video for a corrupt mayor. And I was arrested 3 weeks ago, as you know, Josh, because I said the words, "Your mother would not be proud," in reference to corruption. And Brian Stack was ignoring me during my 5 minutes of time. I said, "Oh, you're going to ignore me again? Your mother would not be proud."
Well, before you play the video, can you tell me what happened? You went to court and like Brian Stack swore to God that you were going to be put up on a cross and poked with a spear. And like I need to know what happened. I can't wait. I'm like a cop with ID. I need to know.
All right. All right. So I went to the first hearing last Friday, which actually was Brian Stack in the hot seat. My lawyer named Mario Blanche, and he's extraordinary out of New Jersey. He did an injunction and an order to show cause because I've got at least 8 criminal complaints. He asked the judge to put them all together as one. He also did an injunction or asked for an injunction so they would stop arresting me and harassing me while I am speaking during my 5-minute time and for court costs to be reimbursed to me. And the judge I've heard is a very fair judge named Judge Jablonski. He's the assignment judge in Hudson County, and he's someone who I hear is of high integrity and will not be swayed by the political machine. And first thing my lawyer said to me is, you have a great judge. And I was very happy to hear that. And so a couple things is Mayor Brian Stack's lawyer, he didn't have the courage to show up to the hearing, which I just wanted to say, hey, at least you got some, balls to show up here, face the person you've been trying to destroy for 9 months now, who's simply investigating you. And his lawyer literally lied for 20 minutes, even though the judge said, I've seen Leroy's video. And at one point he was saying, Leroy, he said mean things and vicious things about Brian Stack's mother and disrespectful things. Now, I would never do that. However, if a person did, it is still protected by the First Amendment and is not arrestable. I would never do that by any means. All I said after he was ignoring me was, your mother would not be proud. And the judge stopped Brian Stack's lawyer and said, listen, there was no insult to his mother when Leroy said your mother would not be proud. That was an insult to Brian, that his mother would not be proud of his actions. So there is now going to be a plenary hearing, which for those who don't know, it's like a mini trial, and it's scheduled for January 25th. However, the judge, I love this judge, he has granted depositions. So this mayor and this senator, extraordinarily corrupt, extortion, pay to play, bribery allegations, sexual assault allegations, retaliation, voter intimidation, this goes on and on. He will be deposed for the first time, Josh, in his entire 40-plus year career as a politician.
I always have great guests on my show.
Yes, you do. And I'm honored to be on this. And this was a double header. So any other stories before I play two videos? And then that will be our show for today. But stay for these two videos, ladies and gentlemen. Anything else, Josh?
You know what? It's my show. Roll tape.
All right. So just to set this up, again, for anyone who's just joined us, the first video, I'm only going to play 5 minutes. The rest is on my channel. And please subscribe to me at Leroy Truth Investigations. And especially subscribe to AFA. Get him those 111 subscribers to get him to 200,000. You could do it today on Leroy Truth Show. You could do it.
Catch me outside. How about that?
Catch you on the subscribe button. How about that? I want you to subscribe to him first before me if you have not subscribed to him. So now I'm going to show you only 5 minutes of the audit video. And this is the beginning. And I'll stop and start a little bit. And then to end the show, I'm going to play the world's first music video that will show my unlawful arrest. It'll show harassment. I've been harassed, attacked, arrested a total of 18 times over 9 months, allegedly under the direction of Brian Stack. It's all in the music video. The world's first corrupt mayor music video. Please share it. Make this thing viral. Let's start off with the first audit. I didn't even know the name of Union City. I hope this is the first one. Well, yeah, here we go. It's been a long time. This is December 1st, 2024. Going up the steps of City Hall. And by the way, that's where we had the press conference right there. AFA, James Freeman, Long Island Audit. Here's the deal. And Mayor Stack stopped these steps. He put police tape on these steps because he didn't want us on the steps.
Famous steps.
Right here we are in front of Union City Hall. Josh, I don't know what the hell was going on with my hat. I didn't check it before I got on camera.
You're not wearing an eye patch. You need to bring it back.
No, that's in the works. Hall. I'm Leroy Truth for Leroy Truth Investigations, and I'm here in front of City Hall in Union, New Jersey. I didn't even know the name of the place. Along with Good Guy Activism, who went in a little earlier. Let's check this out. Check this out. How about that? In public and publicly accessible areas. It's like a second home to me now. The record room, also known as the record room, mayor's office. Yeah, look at this. They have a piano here. Look at this. Awesome. Something that's what you see every day. Oh, look at that. Unfortunately, it's locked. I happen to play. I would have played a special holiday song. And it's still locked. I want to play the piano.
I like to polka.
Now we're going up, and I didn't know where this was. This is the court below. Where do you do freedom of information requests here? Do you work here?
Yes.
Where would you do a freedom of information request?
For what?
For a complaint on a police officer?
You can go downstairs, the first floor.
All right, and what about for... She can't wait to get away from me. She's not a good ambassador here. For
No.
mayor...
Mayor office is on the third floor.
All right, thank you. And I knew nothing. I didn't even know who the mayor was at this point. Now, this is the court where they take the money for the tickets and so forth. It happened to be the first place I went to, and this is where someone called 911, a man with a camera. Brian, you have her to thank. But I want to tell you this, Josh. This woman here who was not very nice, she started this all. She is now one of my favorite people. Whenever I go to the courtroom now, and I don't remember her name, but you're going to see her. On her worst, she was educated, and now she is a beautiful human being to me. So I want to make sure it's all about education. And she is one of the most polite, respectful, and helpful people whenever I go to ask about any of my 50,000 criminal charges that are against me.
Hey, listen,
Brian
folks,
Stack.
too, at home, just so you know, this is the Union City Cash Me Outside is Brian Stack. So we're watching this for the first time, and it's important to watch because everything that has happened from this moment on, this is his fault. It all could have been stopped. None of this had to happen. He certainly seems to be a glutton for punishment. So pay close attention.
Right. This is it. This is the tipping point right here. Huh. This is where they steal all our money. Interesting. Hey, hello there. What do you do here? I mean, like, how would you describe what you do here?
This is the court office. What do you need?
Just wanted to see, what do you do here? Like, what's your purpose here? What's your role?
We work for the municipal court.
All right. And what's the purpose of finding all the people that you find? Like, there's so much money that comes through here.
You have a reason for these questions.
Well, obviously, I would have a reason for these questions. Otherwise, I would not. Yes, do I have a reason for this question? That's the woman who starts this all off. I'll be asking them. And so what's this place? This is to collect money for tickets? Is that what this place does?
Video of that job. Can you come down, please? Yes. No, I don't know.
You gotta love telephoto lenses on our smartphones, man. She's calling someone for some reason, simply because I'm recording my internet. And that's it. That was the action point that Brian Stack has to thank 9 months later. Action. Why did you call someone, ma'am? Just because I'm at...
Because I have to call my supervisor.
Why?
Because I have to.
Is there some law being broken?
No.
I'm just talking with
You're
you.
supposed to be taping us.
Who said that?
We are, this is confidential information that people on the outside are not supposed to know.
Well, I have no interest in any confidential information.
Taping us.
But do you understand that it is on you to create privacy, not me? Since I have a right to record anything in a public building, and you can't trespass your eyes. So anything I could see, I can record. Because technically, someone can come in here and say, "Oh, if they're actually looking for private information, which I am not, they can look at your desk and say, "Oh, I see someone's social security number or something."
I understand that, but sir, you cannot be taping us.
I couldn't hear you.
You cannot be taping us.
Well, what's the law or statute that says I'm not allowed to do that?
Sir, this is private information on individuals.
Is this a private office?
How would you like it if I had your information and I had somebody else taping so they got all of your information?
Well, whose fault would that be if my private information was left there? It is up to you to make sure that the information, if it is private, is not available to the public.
It's on my desk and I'm trying to work with it. Okay, other than standing on it, sitting on it, or laying on it, there's no way because there's no privacy.
Well, maybe you should lay on it then, because it's not my job to create privacy. Anything I can see here, I can record. And I'm just curious. I came in here because I'm a journalist. I'm doing an investigation, actually, on the mayor's office. That was the beginning. I wasn't going to until she called 911 on me. Now I'm going to do an investigation. So that I'm going to just share that much of that video. We have one more, the music video I'm going to share to end our show.
Can
What?
I Carson Daly it? Can I
Yeah.
do the LTV countdown, the Leroy Truth video countdown?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, but before you do, so just set this up, ladies and gentlemen, and please share this with everyone. It is so catchy. It is just, I keep singing it constantly. Your mother would not be proud. And again, I want to underline that. I understand Mayor Brian Stack's mother was a wonderful woman. And it even says that in the lyrics of this video. But his actions, his corrupt actions, trying to get me not in jail only, he's trying to get me into federal prison. Except what he wishes for me is in his future, most likely. And because I was arrested for saying the words, your mother will not be proud, when Mayor Stack was ignoring me. And then I'll tell you what pissed me off doubly was when the lawyer, Brian's lawyer, during that hearing, Josh, this past Friday, lied. The judge saw the video. He's lying to the judge who admitted he saw the video and saying that I said all these mean, evil things about his mother, which I would never do. I respect our mothers. They are the source of all of our lives, and they all deserve respect. So with that, go ahead, do your countdown.
Oh, I mean, okay. Let me. Oh, hold on. What I had.
And it's a 4-minute video, everyone. 4-minute music video.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining LTV today. And we are going to watch one of the best music videos and one of the most influential music videos that will shape and change our lives. And I have to say that if anything, if I lose my memory tomorrow, or I'm 172 years old with failing faculties, the last breath I will ever utter will be the words, "Your mother would not be proud."
His mother would not be proud. His mother would not be proud.
Your mother would not be proud.
How many other men do you allow to talk to you like that, Ophelia? You don't know my temper.
His mother would not be proud. No, 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 of the man that he's become. Oh, oh, oh. Martha was a wonderful woman, kind and true. But Mayor Stack will have you turned into, with all your lies and all your crimes. His mother would not be proud.
I apologize for the residents for Mayor Stack.
You should apologize.
For ignoring us.
He's paid to do so by the political machine in Hudson County. He's a paid hack. He's a complete idiot. Go right ahead. Make sure you get that on camera.
Oh, I sure did.
It's clear he's afraid of Leroy Truth, that's why he's near. He sends his goons to harass and attack, but Leroy stands strong and he won't look back. For 9 long months, the truth's been exposed. 2,300 tales of corruption have been told. Pay to play, extortion, sexual assaults. Mayor Stack, your mother would not be proud. His mother would not be proud. No, 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 of the man that he's become. Oh, oh, oh. Martha was a wonderful woman.
They're allowed to record. This is a public building.
Stack would have you turned into.
They're allowed to record. It's a public building. It's okay.
His mother would not be proud. No, no, of the man that.
You are not speaking about city business.
I am. This is city business. You're saying that women who have been sexually assaulted and a mayor and Martinetti and Guyan not protecting the women, you're saying that's not city business? They're being retaliated against by Alicia Morales, according to them, for 5 weeks now. Is that not city business?
Not city business.
So women who are sexually assaulted, who work for the city, who are allegedly assaulted by people in the city,
You are out of line.
what's out of line is you're ignoring the fact that these women need to be protected.
Get him out, Chief. Get him out. Get him out, Chief. Get him out.
The man that he's become. Oh, oh, oh. Martha was a wonderful woman, kind and true. But Mayor Stack would have you turned into, with all your lies and all your crimes. His mother would not be proud. No, no, of the man that he's become. Oh, oh, oh. Martha was a wonderful woman. Martha was a lady family of grace and love should be ashamed of what her sons become. Ignoring women's cries, they're paying their tears. Retaliating when they speak out in fear. He arrests Leroy for speaking the truth during his time with nothing to lose. But Leroy won't stop, he fights for the light. Mayorstack hides in the dark of the night. We need to make Union City free again from the fear, the lies, the dictator's reign. Margaret's heart would break to see this day, her son turning good people away. Mayorstack, your mother would not be proud.
Well, I will tell you, since you have become mute again, apparently, your mother would not be proud. Your mother would not be proud.
His mother would not be proud. No, 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 of the man that he's become. Oh, oh, oh. Margaret was a wonderful woman, kind and true. But Mayorstack would have you turned into, with all your lies and all your
Pull the chief on his plan. Tracy, don't waste your time. Don't waste your time. I am being arrested for exercising my First Amendment right here in Union City, New Jersey.
His mother would not be proud.
Your mother would not be proud.
How many other men do you allow to talk to you like that, Ophelia? You don't know my temper.
Boom. Mayorstack must resign as mayor and New Jersey Senator now. Mayorstack, you can come on my show now with me and AFA. Tell your sins. I will forgive you of your sins, but the FBI won't. So
I made the dance for it during the episode.
I was here. I watched it.
Your mother would not be proud. Oh, because she's spanking him in his little ass.
Yeah, Mayorstack, you've been a bad boy. You've been a very bad boy. Going to get cold in your stocking for Christmas. And I want to do super chats before I leave here. Thank you so much, everyone. Josh and you. Where's my wrench? Hey, I'm going to give you a wrench next time, Josh. You absolutely, I love you. You're awesome. This is Josh and you. And also, Oathbreakers, beware. Thank you so much. New member, Josh and you, thanks for joining. Please subscribe to my channel and please join as well. And Targeted Patton, new member, excellent. Banana Anner, thank you. He needed a gold-seated toilet, not doorknob. I think you have that in your home along with that beautiful bidet, right?
I do have a bidet.
I
haven't plugged it in yet because I don't know how to do plumbing shit.
It's been there for a year. I'll put it in next time I come up. And so revealed on Leroy Truth's channel, Josh has a gold-plated bidet.
Can I try my psychic powers?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so we have Zared Zakowski, keep exposing Leroy corruption. I'm going to cover my eyes. I'm thinking that the next one is going to be from Banana Anner, and she's saying Josh is wrong and Leroy is right. Maybe Josh and you is yeah.
How do you doing that? How are you a psychic as well? The people need
my
to
mother would be proud.
Your mother would be so proud. And who's next here?
Oh, I got to cover my eyes. Next is going to be Josh and you. On her Insta, it said Bad Barbie, Danielle Bergoli. Next going to be Dub Wubs, Banana. Mark this day on your calendar. Josh is wrong.
You're doing great. Next.
I got to scroll down. Let me catch up. Dr. Phil is a failing content creator. Mainstream media has rejected him a few times. AFA is a better man. We need to start putting videos with diff languages. Kansas Freedom News. Thank you, Leroy Truth Investigations, AFA, SPR, LIA, and the rest. You are all true inspiration as to why I'm now getting my feet wet in helping doing my part. Banana Rana, Leroy is a bigger fan of mine than my husband. I'm not going to be able to afford all these super chats. Someone's got to send me something to eat tonight. I just joined the Army of Freedom from Amy. No hype, real facts. Says Tyrant Terminator audits 137K. Banana Runner again. AFA is 111 subs away from 200 subscribers. Right. Ryan says AFA, you should collab with Auditing Britain. Spruce Bingstein says $3 super sticker. And joshing you, bring the hat back. I'm out of breath.
Bingo. So that's awesome. So, Josh, I want to thank you for being my guest, and I want to thank you for having me as your guest as well on your show. And I thank each of you for investing time of your day to be with us. And remember, as Martin Luther King said, the problem...
Your mother would not be proud. Oh, sorry.
The problem, he may have said that too. Martin Luther King probably said that as well at some point in his life. And if he knew Mayorstack, he would have said that to Mayorstack, I guarantee you. And as Martin Luther King said, the problem is not that we are outnumbered. The problem is that we are outorganized, but not anymore. Please join the armyoffreedom.com. Do it now. Do it now. Just do it. And that will help us to get focal points of who to contact, who to call, what to call about. And that's what Dr. Phil didn't like. And what do you have with little baby Yoda there, Josh? What's going on?
Brian Stack's mother ashamed of him, is she?
Perhaps, I don't know about that, but I know his mother would not.
Be proud.
And that's the reason we stopped you today. God bless you all. Thank you all for your support. See you next time. Please subscribe to my channel. Subscribe to AFA. Get him to that 200,000 mark today on Leroy Truth's channel. I love you all, and I'll see you on my next video. God bless you all.